Annabelle, as always. Welcome back. So, we are continuing our Bates Motel episodic review, season by season. So we are up to season 1, episode 10, season finale here. And we got more things that are breaking through and everything, find out some things and everything. Kind of find out some stuff of why Norma is so effed up in the head. So let's crack into this episode on what kind of went on and everything. I have to say, like, with as much as there is going on in this episode, it still felt kind of like a slower episode, but there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like they were still figuring out like the pace and everything for the show, but really strong first season to be introduced to Bates Motel and everything. So right off the bat, we have Norma going to police station, talking to Officer Romero, Sheriff Romero, and everything, letting her know that she's being held up pretty much for $150,000 if she doesn't pay up. Her sons are going to be killed and stuff, or something's going to happen. So Romero's like, you know what, I'll take care of it. And of course, Norma is a little apprehensive. She's a little like, okay, how can I know that you're going to, like, do this? Like, you know, because she's not had a very good track record with the town folk itself, especially the police. So she's a little leery, and rightfully so. You know, she's kind of like, well, can I trust you? Of course, Romero, we're kind of starting to sort of see, like, he's kind of a decent individual, decent cop and everything among this town full of crazy folk and everything. So we're starting to slowly kind of see, you know, the type of person that Romero is. He's, you know, we're definitely kind of seeing that he is a pretty decent guy. He kind of goes out, talks to, I believe, Keith Summers' sister, I believe it was, Maggie Summers, who had owned the hotel, or like part of the hotel with Keith and everything. And you know, Romero's kind of like asking her different things, like, hey, what's going on with this guy? You know, do you know anything about it and everything? And she's a little hesitant, but she indulges a little bit of information and everything. She, though, kind of turns around, goes to the hotel, talks to Norma, and is like, hey, you better pay up, because you're basically gonna, like, be fish food if you don't pay up. And you better pay up, because he kind of always gets his debts. So, yeah, so, you know, she's got that to deal with now and everything. So, yeah. Meanwhile, with Norman, Norman decides to go ahead and ask Emma out to the dance and everything. You know, she's kind of like, oh, yeah, no one's gonna invite me, blah, blah. He's like, I'll take you. You know, but they show up to the dance, and of course, you know, Emma's a smart girl. She's, you know, she doesn't necessarily always let her, emotions always overrun her thinking or anything. She does a little bit, you know, like, she kind of admits, like, you know, they show up to dance or dancing and everything. She's like, you know, I was kind of foolish enough to think that if you saw me in a nice dress and everything, that would make you love me and everything. But she wises up, like, you know, she'll kind of try her feelings and stuff, you know, let her feelings influence her mind and thoughts and everything, her decisions, but she doesn't let it control her to this extent where she becomes this basically, like, lovesick teenage girl and everything who's coming across desperate. She's like, no, I'm still a strong young woman. Like, you know what, if you're not going to take the time to get to know me and, like me, like, the way I like you, then screw it, forget it, like, we're done. So, you know, I like little Emma. She's got a pretty good head on her shoulders. So, yeah. Meanwhile, while Emma ditches Norman at the dance and everything, she's like, you can go ahead and find someone else to give you a ride home. Bradley's boyfriend shows up, wants to talk to Norman. He basically tells him, like, hey, leave Bradley alone. You took advantage of her after her dad passed away and everything. She was vulnerable and everything. You took advantage. Leave her alone. And of course, Norman's like, well, I have left her alone. I really haven't talked to her or anything. Like, whatever. That's, like, it's over. But of course, we kind of realize, like, well, you know, Bradley keeps going over to the Bates' house and everything, talking to Dylan, she's probably telling her boyfriend, "Oh, I'm gonna go talk to Norman." So of course, you know, that's not the case. We know that she's been talking to Dylan and everything, and we kind of start seeing, how Bradley is as a individual, as a young woman and everything, compared to Emma. Like, I feel like Bradley kind of, and we kind of knew this from the start, from the beginning of the season, of the series itself and everything. We kind of could tell which one of these girls was kind of like the pure good and like the pure evil. Pure good would be like Emma. Pure evil would be Bradley, basically. Because she's a very pretty girl, kind of perfect and everything. She's like that ideal little like teenage dream and everything. But because she knows that, she tries to use people to her advantage. I mean, we got Norman. We saw that with Norman. We see it now with Dylan and everything, trying to get stuff from, her dad's office and everything. So she's just, she uses her beauty and everything to her advantage and get what she wants. So, yeah. But whatever. I think there was a moment there where it seemed like Bradley was kind of a genuine individual. She kind of was just like lost her step and everything. But she's like, no. It's like, no. You see that she's trying to manipulate people and use certain situations and her looks to people's advantage, or to her advantage and everything. So I'm just saying. So yeah. So then Norman and the boyfriend get into a little bit of scuffle. The boyfriend hits him. He, kind of runs into his English teacher. She's like, oh, you know what, let me, clean that up for you and I'll take you home and stuff. So she takes Norman back to to her place and everything, cleans up the mess and everything. And, she then is like, here, let me go change and everything. So Norman's kind of seeing her change and everything, and of course his kind of subconscious that always seems to come out as his mother. It's a little weird, because it's not really his subconscious, but whenever his subconscious comes about, it's always in the form of his mother, and she's like preaching to him of like, this is wrong. Look at her. She's over there getting dressed right in view and everything. You're underage. You're her student. What kind of teacher does that? That's inappropriate. He then kind of like blanks out. We find out at the end of the episode that he had blinked out and everything, and doesn't really remember anything else after seeing his teacher undressing. Meanwhile, Norma is at the dock or whatever, where she was supposed to meet this guy to give him the $150,000. Romero, of course, is there. He's, pitching a deal with this new guy of like, hey, you know what? This may have been what it was like before, but we're gonna have a new deal, 50-50. And if you're gonna be in my town, I'm gonna know about this and everything, and I'm gonna like regulate and everything. If you don't like it, then tough shit. And the guy, of course, is kind of like, well, what the heck, like, whatever, so he ends up getting killed by Romero. Romero pretty much kicks him into the ocean or the river, lake, whatever, and it's like, you know what, not in my town. So it's kind of like, good, she totally fixed this, trying to wipe this whole situation clean for the Bates and everything, that way he doesn't have to keep kind of like protecting her or anything. So and he knows that Norma's there. Of course he knows that, she's got some hesitation still with him, rightfully so. He tells her, like, okay, go home. I know you're here. Go home. It's taken care of. Like, okay, see, I took care of it. You're good. You're good. So she leaves, and this is where we see that she runs into Norman and everything. He kind of explains what happened. He's like, oh, yeah, I got a cut, and, my teacher cleaned it up and everything, but that's all I remember. The next thing I remember is running down the street. I don't remember anything else. So he's confessing that he's blanking out. He's blacking out, basically. So, he gets in the car, they go home, and we go back to the teacher's place. Come to find out that she is on the floor with her throat cut. So presumably, since Norman was the last one to see her, we're thinking We're thinking he probably did something to her. Because I mean, we didn't see him do anything. We didn't see like any sort of a break-in or anything. We can only assume that Norman had ended up killing his teacher, which is unfortunate. But we're gonna have to wait till next season to see what's going on with that. Because, like I said, this was the season finale. So yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what goes on with the next season and everything, what goes on with the teacher and everything. So stay tuned, you guys, to see what happens in the second season of Bates Motel. Until next time, you guys, as always, stay creepy, classy, and a little bit sassy.